Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here goes that time again in which where it's pay-per-view time. And so, of course, before the pay-per-views, we have the pay-per-view talk in which where I talk about the match card and of how the matches came to be in the pay-per-view. And then we have the actual pay-per-view. And then after that, we just have, the whole pay-per-view after show talk in which where we just talk and review on matches in the pay-per-view. Now, of course, we had this for the Over the Limit Raw exclusive pay-per-view, and now here we go. Time for the ECW exclusive Barely Legal pay-per-view. And now, I just want to quickly say that as you see this custom pay-per-view poster. Now, of course, for the Over the Limit one, I created a custom pay-per-view poster, and of course, for this one, I created a custom pay-per-view poster as well. If you guys already know from like my previous videos, like from months ago, something that long time ago, you guys would know of how much I've probably evolved into making better custom pay-per-view posters, which is why I kind of really do like them for my pay-per-views. Now, I could just decide not to do it and just have it like over the logo of the pay-per-view, but no, which is why I go into the hard work of doing the pay-per-view posters because I just like it, and also because it will create for some eye-catching thumbnails as well. Anyway, so I just noticed a mistake in which where Taz is your hardcore TV champion, but he does not have either the ECW Television Championship or the WWF Hardcore Championship. I did not add that to him, and I'm not going to bother to right now because I'm just too lazy and I don't want to hurry and make this video. Just so I could add the already made clips of the pay-per-view because I already know what happens. I just do a voiceover over the matches in pay-per-view. That's really pretty much my ending process. Now, I know I'm not going into the kick of things very quickly, but if you guys do want me to show you how I like edit videos and stuff, feel free to ask or something like that. Or I probably might do a separate video on that when I just don't want to do NBA Live Mobile or Book Revolution or Mad Mobile, stuff like that. Especially since I haven't done Mad Mobile in a while. Anyway, going into the pay-per-view now. Not too far. So, first matchup, as we're going to begin your lightweight title 8-man tournament. Now, of course, Raw have this for the exhibition title with the 8-man tournament. They are almost done with it. SmackDown has not started their 8-man cruiserweight title tournament yet. And ECW, they're going to start their hardcore lightweight title tournament. In this pay-per-view, as we're only going to have one matchup to start things off for the tournament. And here we go. We got most likely the most dominant man in the ECW roster so far. We got Neville taking on Gregory Helms. Now, for this one, Neville, I feel like Neville is kind of probably the most momentum-driven man in Universe Mode. He definitely probably has the best win and loss record. I don't think he's lost a matchup, and if he has, then he most likely probably lost one. And he's taking on a man who is classified as a jobber in this universe. Now, of course, for Raw, their jobbers are Damon Sandown and, some other little mid-card guys just to, lose to Goldberg and stuff like that. For SmackDown, their jobber is Curtis Axel. For ECW, our jobber is Gregory Helms. But now, usually for jobber matches, for example, the Week 5 edition of, not Raw, the Week 5 edition of ECW, where I save how all matches are CPU simulated. Well, to be fair, except for jobber matches and except for, backstage assaults, because for backstage things I control one wrestler, so I could make the attack happen just to set up a storyline, something like that. Or for jobber matches in which where I played as Baron Corbin and I just did a quick matchup to destroy Gregory Helms to make Corbin get more momentum into his title match later on in the night. So, yeah, that's how matches pretty much go. But for this one, I'm going to let the CPU control this. So, let's see if the CPU is going to make Gregory Helms bring up a challenge against Neville. Or let's see if it's going to make Neville continue his momentum and defeat Gregory Helms in a record time in a jobber-style matchup. Or, a very close matchup. I don't know. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, the second matchup, hardcore tag team titles are on the line as we got Biss and Matt Morgan. They're going to defend their hardcore tag team titles against DIY, John Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa. It's not Gargano and Ciampa. They did not get here via number one contenders matchup. They did get here by being, I guess you could say, they did have a whole lot of good matches. Well, they did have some wins into their matches and stuff. And so, to be fair, not gonna lie, your tag title division here in ECW is kind of sluggish. besides us having Abyss and Matt Morgan, and besides us having DIY, and besides of having Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, who's only had one matchup and they lost to Abyss and Matt Morgan for the titles in the Week 1 edition of ECW. It's pretty much a weak tag team division, to say at least. I believe Bros Clay and Tenside are also in the ECW tag team division. I believe they're not all that much of a well tag team either. So yeah, the tag team division is kind of sluggish, which is why we didn't have a number one contenders matchup. But DIY did stand up above the crowd, like from all the other tag teams, who like wanted a tag title shot against Abyss and Morgan, and so Paul Heyman gave them the title shot, which is why in the Week 3 edition of ECW, I believe. No, the Week 4 edition of ECW, we had Johnny Gargano take on Matt Morgan, and in the Week 5 edition, which was their latest edition of ECW, we had Tommaso Ciampa take on Abyss. I believe Gargano beat Matt Morgan, if I remember correctly. I can't remember correctly for that one, but since your ECW Week 5 episode was not long ago, I do remember Tommaso Ciampa losing to Abyss. So we'll see on how that match goes. Let's see if DIY could derail Abyss and Morgan and see if they could become hardcore tag team champions. So now going to your third matchup, we got the hardcore television championship. We got Taz defend his title against Kenny Omega. Now the way this match was set up was Taz did win the 10-man battle royal to see who becomes hardcore television champion. And so Kenny Omega, he won the number one contenders matchup that he was added into in the last second along with Adam Cole. Now in that 10-man battle royal matchup, we did have fellow Bullet Club member Kenny Omega eliminate fellow other Bullet Club member Adam Cole. And so Cole, he got eliminated early in the matchup. And so on the ECW Fallout, Adam Cole basically complained towards Paul Heyman, saying of how he wants to be added into the Fatal 4-Way number one contenders matchup that they were going to have on the Week 5 of ECW, which was between John Morrison, Rusev, Chris Jericho, and Dean Ambrose. And so Adam Cole got added into the matchup by Paul Heyman, but Heyman did not like Cole's attitude towards when he when he demanded that he was added into the matchup. So Paul Heyman also added in the man who eliminated Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, which made it a 6-man elimination matchup. It was originally a Fatal 4-Way elimination matchup. So it turned into a 6-man elimination matchup with Adam Cole and Kenny Omega being added into there. And so it did not work out well for Adam Cole, as Adam Cole, he immediately got eliminated from Dean Ambrose in the matchup. The matchup didn't even start for like 15 seconds. I mean, it started in like under 15 seconds into the matchup, we had Dean Ambrose immediately eliminate Adam Cole, like Adam Cole after he went through a wheelchair and stuff like that. And Ambrose just eliminated Cole very, very quickly in the matchup. And so we had Kenny Omega win the number one contenders matchup because Omega eliminated everyone else. Dean Ambrose eliminated Adam Cole, and after that, Kenny Omega eliminated everyone else in the matchup. And so Omega, he became number one contender. It was him and Rusev as the final two, and so Omega defeated Rusev, which is why Omega's number one contender, which leads into our fourth matchup, which is between Adam Cole and Dean Ambrose. Now, of course, in the fallout of the Week 5 edition of ECW, we had Braun Strowman and Finn Balor have a little bit of a backstage segment. But now I'm just going to go into that matchup later. But we did have Adam Cole attack Dean Ambrose backstage, which sets up for this last second made matchup between Adam Cole and Dean Ambrose, which I guess that kind of has turned into a well storyline in the matchup, with Cole getting eliminated, with Cole asking for a matchup, and then him getting eliminated in record time by Dean Ambrose. That kind of was a good setup, which makes Adam Cole attack Ambrose backstage after the show. So that's how that worked out. So we're going to have Cole versus Ambrose later on tonight in the preview as well. So now, like I said, for the Balor and Strowman thing, leading into that, of course, for the past few weeks, we've been having segments in which Braun Strowman has kept attacking Finn Balor backstage. Now, for Week 5, it wasn't specifically Strowman destroying Balor or Balor destroying Strowman backstage. They did have like a little time brawl, and after that, the brawl, we kept the cameras back into the action. The cameras quickly I believe. Well, that's just how the backstage thing worked out. Like the cameras cut out and then went to stuff like that. Blah blah blah. I can't fully remember anymore. Anyway, so we had Strowman, attack Balor backstage multiple times before week 5 and stuff like that. Then we had them have a little bit of backstage brawl, like a 50-50 backstage brawl, and the fallout of week 5 of ECW and stuff like that, along with the Cole and Dean Ambrose thing. So because of this, and because Strowman attacking Balor for like 3 weeks in a row, well, not 3 weeks in a row, but at least for like 3 times, we now are going to have a hardcore steel cage matchup between Braun Strowman and Finn Balor. I was trying to remember what stipulation I had into. Right. Hardcore steel cage matchup, and it's going to be to the death. Right. That's what I remember now. I know it's going to be a steel cage, but it's also a to the death matchup. So basically, whichever wrestler does not have enough health by the end, or at least by the end of the matchup, they will lose due to the referee thinking that they don't have enough health, and due to their health bar not having enough, health in the matchup, stuff like that, blah blah blah. But it's also gonna be inside steel cage, where we have all the weapons inside the ring and inside the steel cage. It's like gonna be a humongous jumble massive matchup, but that's how we're gonna add in this. And so based on whoever wins, we'll see on how the storyline progresses further. If Strowman is to destroy Balor, if Balor is supposed to bring up a good fight against Strowman, but Strowman still wins, if Balor is supposed to pull off an upset and just absolutely demolish Braun Strowman, or if Balor and Strowman are supposed to have an even matchup and Balor wins or Strowman wins, stuff like that. We'll see on how the storyline progresses, and of course when the men get injured in the matchup, that's how we further progress storylines as well. And so, your main event, Baron Corbin, is going to go one-on-one against their ECW champion, Raven. Now, reason to do with this is on the week 4 or 3, no, the week 3 edition of ECW, we did have the finals of the of the ECW title tournament. Now, of course, we had the 4-man ECW title tournament. We had Raven take on Finn Balor, and we had Baron Corbin take on Dean Ambrose. To set up for those, we had Raven defeating Finn Balor, and we did have Corbin beat Ambrose. And so, your final 2 men were Raven and Baron Corbin, in which Raven defeated Baron Corbin, and in which Raven became ECW champion. And so, of course, you know about the rematch clauses in Universe Mode, and so Corbin, he immediately cashed in his rematch clause before Paul Heyman was able to put the rematch clause on the line. And if Corbin, defeated this opponent, then he'll still have his rematch clause. And so Corbin, he immediately cashed it in before Paul Heyman could say anything. And so, which is why Corbin gets his rematch against Raven. But also, in week 5, I wasn't sure if this was the Fallout. No, this wasn't the Fallout. Yeah, this was inside the regular episode of ECW, in which Baron Corbin attacked Raven backstage, which further developed the storyline into, not just the last second place matchup. Because I needed a way to, make the matchup mean something more instead of a randomly made matchup just for use of having a main event. So, which is why I made Corbin attack Raven backstage, just to add in a little bit more of a heat storyline type into it. Which is why that's your main event, and which is why it kind of feels a little bit more special, as we're going to have Raven defend his title against Baron Corbin. Now, of course, if Corbin is to win, Raven, he still has his rematch clause, and let's say if Raven wins, then, if Raven wins after, let's say Corbin defeats Raven later on tonight, and let's say if Raven defeats Corbin later on after Raven uses his rematch clause or something like that, then we get Raven and Corbin again, and if Raven defeats Corbin and stuff like that, blah blah blah, then Corbin's not able to use his rematch clause because, the maximum amount of matches we could have between 2 men in a row in the rivalry is 3. So let's also say if Raven retains his title later on tonight against Corbin, Corbin is not gonna have his rematch clause because he already cashed it in, and so Raven will get a new challenger, and that's how it's going to work out, basically. So yep, that's basically it. And I know we've been having a whole lot of new additions to the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT rosters. So I wouldn't have to do something about that. We're gonna have a whole lot of new debuts as well, since we're gonna have like more stat viewers mode. So there are a couple of new signings to ECW. Not gonna announce them yet, but of course there are a couple of new signings to SmackDown and Raw as well. Anyway, that was your whole Bare Legal pay-per-view talk. I'm not sure if this is longer than the Over the Limit one yet. I am going to check to see which one was longer of me just, talking and getting out subject multiple times as well. I apologize. Anyway, that was it. Don't miss the Bare Legal pay-per-view. Of course, it's ECW exclusive. Oh, yeah, and also, I'm going back to saying the locations of the place. For this one, this pay-per-view is going to be from Arlington, Virginia. And now, of course, I did not pick these random U.S. cities and states. I let Google pick the random U.S. cities and states just so it could feel more realistic. Anyway, that's it. Don't miss the ECW pay-per-view. And yeah, that's pretty much it. ECW Bare Legal is also going to be uploaded later on today. Anyway, don't miss it.